Live from the Cactus Creek at Ibri, he is the king of prime time, Ghana's undisputed entertainment laureate, and still the youngest old man in Ghana. Put your hands together, show some love for the indefatigable KSM.
The KSM Show.
Thank you. I'm telling you folks today, I feel like I am in the presence of greatness, man. Show some love. I'm telling you, I get to talk to this gentleman. I've spoken to him once before, but he was at the studio. And now I am not at the studio, I am at a church. And you know me, I always have the nerve, I have the audacity to welcome people to their own establishment. Who am I talking about? And who am I about to welcome? His name is Reverend Stephen Wengam. He is the General Superintendent of the Assemblies of God, Ghana, and he happens to be the lead pastor for the Cedar Mountain Chapel, East Legon, Assemblies of God. Right now, I am talking to you from the first Cedar Chapel. Show some love, man. I am so happy, I am so delighted to tell you to put your hands together for my main man, if I should call him that. Show some love, Reverend Stephen Wengam. How are you doing, Remo?
Good to be on your show.
My pleasure. Please, have a seat.
Thank you.
Thank you, too. Whoa. So now we are here at the Cedar First Chapel. We're going to take a short commercial break. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend that we're going to have an amazing conversation. Stick around. We'll be right back.
The KSM Show.
Cactus Creek is offering the whole month of February as Lovers Month with amazing packages. Enjoy 2 nights of romantic dinner, enjoy lunch at the poolside, and breakfast in bed. It doesn't get any more romantic. And the prices start at $1,990. Call 050-039-5007 for more details and make your reservation.
Cactus Creek. It is no longer Ghana's best kept secret. It's an open secret. So serene, so heavenly. And the meals? Just like home cooking. Cactus Creek. Your soul will thank you. Call or WhatsApp 055-039-5007.
Let me tell you something. When you take your stuff to the laundry, some of the complaints you get is a missing button, some stain on the thing, all sorts of things. But with Cabell, you can bet you're going to get a quality job done. Send your stuff to Cabell. If you want to reach them on their hotline, the number is 050-139-4546. So call Cabell Dry Cleaning Service. Is always clean and crisp.
Azepa Essentials has good news for you. If you're in Takoradi and its environs, don't worry. You can pick up Azepa Essentials jacket at Ruler Unisex Boutique in Anaji, Takoradi, Queen of Peace in Takofo Road. Call or WhatsApp 0544-548766.
Pulse Fitness Center, the premier. Meet the indefatigable captain.
There are 3 things that I love doing. Number 1, workout. Number 2, workout. Number 3, workout. Workout put mind, soul, and body together.
The captain has spoken.
We're getting busy. Bright lights, yeah, they make me dizzy. Logo Liggy. I just want the Lizzie. It's a Logo Liggy. Up Uptown chasing for the Lizzie. Downtown, everybody busy, logo liggy. Like we logo liggy. I just want the
Paul's Fitness Center, East Legon Branch, Lizzie Sports Complex, Cotton Street, East Legon, Accra, Ghana, 0302 519 675. Kumasi branches, Officers Mess Branch, Denyame, Major Kobina Drive, Kumasi, 0541 871 602. Golden Tulip, Kumasi City Branch, Raintree Street, 0322 492 647. Pulse, the premier destination for fitness in Ghana.
say what lie we for around town.
The KSM Show.
Thank you. Thank you very, very, very much. And we are back. Revo, can I call Revo? I like the sound of it.
You can.
First of all, congratulations. You know, you were elected as the General Superintendent for the Assemblies of God, Ghana. That was not too long ago. And there's an induction coming on February 25th.
Yes.
Okay. Even before we start with the induction conversation, let's take a look, once again, take a look at this.
Everybody, let me.
The Assemblies of God Ghana is about to take a turn like never before. Join us at the Grand Arena, Accra International Conference Center on the 25th of February for the induction service of the newly elected General Superintendent, our very own Reverend Dr. Stephen Yenesom Wengam, and the outdooring of the newly elected Executive Presbytery Officers, Reverend Tito J, Reverend Dr. Enes Brikran, and Reverend Dr. Simon Abubaba. There is about to be a shift, growth, and transformation as they plan to reach, rebuild, restore, reform, reposition, and rebrand the Assemblies of God Ghana. Proverbs chapter 11 verse 14. Where no counsel is, the people fall, but there is safety in the multitude of counselors. Come, let us welcome and celebrate our new Assemblies of God leaders. God bless you.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How does it feel? I almost asked from lead pastor to general superintendent. Then I realized somehow you're still lead pastor and general superintendent. How does it work? Very briefly.
KSM, for the feeling, I'm yet to come to terms with it. I keep asking my wife, am I really the general superintendent? She'll go like, why? I said, I don't feel it. I still feel very normal to the extent that when I find myself in the public space, I have to sack myself all the time. Every now and then I'm tempted to act like when I was lead pastor exclusively, then I have to remind myself that, look, you are now a public figure. So, you know, there is a way you have to carry yourself. There are some places you can't go to. In the past, I could just walk into certain shops and, you know, just grab something and move into your car.
Now, you can't do that.
I can't do that. So I have to keep reminding myself, all the time.
Yeah, because I know in certain situations, once you're elected as a general superintendent, then you give up the lead pastorship and then take on the big one. But do you think that's what keeps reminding you that you have the big one, but you're still the folks?
Well, it's possible. Yes, in our 92 years history as a church, this is the first time a general superintendent is being allowed to still pastor a local church.
Okay.
It's been a convention, not a constitutional provision. At my maiden executive presbytery meeting, an issue came out. We had to debate and look at the pros and the cons, and know to some current circumstances, the collective wisdom of the executive presbytery prevailed that I continue to pastor as a local church while superintending over the Assemblies of God Ghana. And so far it's been good for the past 6 months. I've been amazed actually how I've been able to combine the two so well. I don't really feel it much. I have associate pastors and a very solid church board, a team of leaders who are up to the task. So I'm able to manage the two graciously.
Fantastic, man. Fantastic. And speaking of managing them fantastically, are you all based in this location, your team?
The leadership team?
Yeah.
No, actually, currently, myself and the General Secretary, we are in Accra. The Assistant General Superintendent is in Kumasi, and then the General Treasurer is in Nim in the Ahafu region. What happens is that every 2 weeks, they come over.
Okay.
But then the two of us are here, and then we see to the day-to-day running. Every 2 weeks they come, we have meetings, we take major decisions, and then whilst at their locations, they are still working. I delegate assignments to them, and thank God for technology. We do Zoom meetings now, so it's like we are all
together
at the same
all the
location.
Time. Yeah. It's been a remarkable journey, and I want to get into it and when it started. But looking back at your own life, you had some unusual tragedies growing up too. I think you lost all your siblings before they were one. I read somewhere about that. What happened?
Yes.
There were four of you.
We're four.
Okay.
Born to the late Matthew K. Wengam. My mother is still alive, Madam Deborah Wengam. I'm the firstborn. The one who comes after me died when she was barely 3 months. Then the next one was a boy. He died when he was 1 month. Then the last born, Samson, who died at age 1. In our village, we had traveled to our village. We spent quite some time there for 3 months. And then he suffered convulsion, and then he died. If it's today, I'm presuming probably we could have saved his life. Now, convulsion and those things are not a major killer like it used to be. So indeed, my parents really suffered that trauma. It was very difficult, very, very difficult. In this part of the world, you can imagine the permutations,
I was going to come to that.
Investigations,
Yes.
and all that.
So it was only you.
Yeah, I felt very lonely. I remember many times I would tell my parents, I want siblings, I want a brother. We lived in a compound house. And normally when it rained, we'll all rush into our homes, and I'll hear our neighbors, they were about 3, 4, jumping on the bed, talking, making noise. And I'm with my parents. Children communicating with adults is not like when you are among your colleagues. I felt it actually very lonely, but it also contributed to shaping me. I think it also made me mature quite early. Being the only child, you have to do everything. My mom would insist you have to do everything. I wasn't pampered. I was thinking that having lost my siblings, I was going to be
They'll go easy on you a bit.
My mother, a disciplinarian. Oh, my mother.
What kind of disciplinary measure did she put you through?
My mother will make the rules and will give you reasons and insist. My mother is extremely neat.
Neat?
Extremely neat. She will sweep her living room, bedroom 5 times a day.
Wow.
After visitors come, she have to sweep it. And you don't mess up her space. My mother inculcated leadership values into me. At age 5, I started washing. She'll put your panties, socks, you have to wash it. And I remember around 10, my dad used to work at the Mao refinery, and we had a clinic at Makondi 2. We lived at Nungwa. KSM, can you imagine around 11, my mother would put me in the public transport and direct me to go to the hospital. And my dad came back and he was mad. How could you do this? He said, but he must mature. He must get to the point where he can do things for himself. And I commend my mother highly for that. So among my peers growing up, I was different. People thought I was older than my age, the way I carried myself. We go to church, whilst other kids are running around. You can't do that. My mom,
you have to go to church.
You know what she would do? Your bread, your snack is in the bag. The way she would lift you and sit you on by hair, how do I put it? Lift you and hit your buttocks on the seat.
Wow.
That alone is a statement. You can't move. I would sit there admiring my colleagues jumping around. I would dare not.
And you'll be seated?
I'll be seated, participating in what is happening, One day I forgot myself. One look, and when you get home, oh my goodness, she will spank you. There are times you have to hold your ear, do the up and down. I stole meat from the soup. And we are only 3 in the house.
So you are the only
so it was easy for me to be caught. If you're 3 or 4.
You couldn't have been the other 2. It couldn't be your mom, your dad. What was your punishment for stealing meat?
She beat me, and then, I will never forget it. Wow. My dad beat me only once, but I feared my dad more than my mom.
He beat you once?
My mom, you know, mother is serving a pine, she'll hit you. But somehow, I think I got quite used to it. My dad, only once.
What caused that?
Do I remember? I think I can't remember what I did that made my dad, beat me. My dad, just one look, and your spirit will leave you.
And he was working at the Tema oil refinery?
Yes.
Wow.
He worked for almost 40 years before he passed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
wow.
They were the founding, I would say, staff. I mean, the first staff of TOR.
Wow.
Yeah.
And your mother is, what does she do?
My mom, now she's at home. She's not too well, but she's at home.
How old is she?
My mom should be hitting almost 70 now.
Almost 70?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I thought I was going to be in a position to say, oh, yeah, small girl, but 70, my respects.
She married early at 18 and gave birth a year after. That wasn't teenage pregnancy. She was married.
For the records.
For the records.
How is she absorbing all of this, you being now General
Superintendent? Yeah. My mom is not too surprised. My parents tell me that at my christening at my Central Assembly of God Church, the first pastor, the late Reverend J.C. Tete, according to my parents, when he was christening me and praying for me, strangely, they paid attention to the prayer. And my parents said they could sense that I'll become a pastor one day.
From the prayer?
Yes, from the prayer. And my late father also saw it. My father prophesied that I'll become general superintendent before he died. He did, yes. He died in 2007.
Was he into the church himself?
Yes, he was a Christian, very prayerful man. So before he died, he called me and said, Steve, you are going to become general superintendent one day.
Really?
There's another one he said, I can't mention that now. I want to behave like Mary. Bible said all that the angel told her, she kept it in her heart until they were fulfilled. He gave me 2 prophecies. I'm waiting to see whether the other one will happen. So he said, you're going to become very prominent, very influential. Take very good care of yourself and pray more. So I said, why is he saying that? He said he's not too sure he'll be around for long. I said, you can't say that. He said, well, he thinks he may go soon. So.
And how long after that did he
Oh, he died, I think, less than a month.
Less than a month?
Yeah, less than a month. Yeah.
I think I have an idea of what else he told you, but me too, like Mary, I'll hold it. Till after the show, though. I'll say it off air till after the show. I'll just say it. Let's see whether I'll be right or not, but I won't say it on air.
Thank you.
But Reverend Wengam, I mean, you are very extraordinary. I mean, those who know you know. And those of you who don't, trust me, I think you give yourself a chance and experience this man, you know, at the Cedar Mountain Chapel. And maybe you get to understand. But you struck me as, first of all, this is the question. You know, today there are many, many pastors who are pastors because they say so, you know, or they believe they have been called, whatever the reason, that's not what I'm talking about. You seem that there's something innate about you and this whole pastoral thing. Sometimes I want to find out, how did you go into a pastoral school? Did you get born again at some point? What led you to have this stature, basically, that I think is quite unique in terms of your approach.
Thank you, KSM. I was born into a Christian family. My parents, both members of the Assemblies of God, so they gave me a good Christian upbringing. When I was a child, as young as 5 years, my second childhood pastor, the late Reverend Stephen Amponson, who became Assistant General Superintendent for 16 years, we were living adjacent the parsonage. Some way, somehow, I loved him so much. So every now and then, when you don't find me in the house, I'm in the parsonage. He also loved me. There was something about this man. He was a man of God.
What attracted you to him at that early age?
Reverend Amponsa, as young as 5 years, there was this aura, God's presence around him. He doesn't talk much. His character is deep. Reverend Amponsa is very anointed. And so there was this thing about him, as young as I was, that drew me to him. And during vacations, if my parents don't release me to go and spend the vacation with them, hell will break loose in the house.
You wanted to spend the vacations with him?
Yes. I always wanted to be in his company. So during vacations, my parents would send me, like Samuel, his mother sent him to Eli. My parents would pack my things, and my mother would do dress rehearsals. When you go as a visitor, you don't have certain rights. You have to wake up early, clean the house, do one or two things. So it made people love me. They love, anywhere I went to spend vacation, they wanted me to come again. I wasn't a liability. I mean, my mother trained me very well. I won't misbehave. I won't mess up the place. So Reverend Amponsa made pastoral vocation a delight. So growing up, I loved it. And I'll mimic him. My mother will laugh and laugh. And then at a point, we'll live in a compound house at Nungwa. I'll gather my colleagues and I'll be preaching. I'm Reverend Amponsa.
Really?
You know, so that is how the desire.
That is quite interesting.
Yeah.
So you just took a likeness to this man.
That's right.
That you really can't explain, but it just attracted you to him more or less.
Yes, and that's how God works. Paul said that God works in us both to will and to do. When God wants to do something with you, he first put the desire. So that's how God generated the desire to become a pastor.
In you?
In me. Through Reverend Amponsa.
Yeah, wow. Wow.
Yes.
I mean, to the extent that you would mimic him?
Yes. He had very extraordinary, unique way. I
Show
can
me a little
do
bit
it.
of that. What do you remember?
No, yeah, so Reverend Amponsa had a unique way of, during praise or worship time, you know, he has a way he'll twist his mouth. And I would do it, my mother would laugh, people around would laugh. And when my mother wanted to have fun, sometimes she would call me.
Call you.
And not only him, I mean, other pastors. And you would think, and I would do it so well.
Oh, so they'll call you and ask you to mimic Reverend.
That's right. And for them it was fun, but for me, I wanted to be like him.
Wow.
To the extent that even those days, you know these days, what we call, this new fashion, what we used to call political suit, remember, it's in vogue now.
Yeah.
Reverend Pastor used to wear them a lot. My mother would go and sew. I would insist that, Mommy, I want this type.
Just like this?
Yeah, so my mother would go and sew that type, get that type sewn for me. So that's how the desire for me, the discovery of my calling as a pastor, it started from there.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Even in secondary school, I used to go and spend vacation. And he also saw it. This Reverend Amponsa, one of the way he trained me, he said he loved my handwriting. So after he has written his sermon, he will give it to me to recopy it for him. And KSM, those of us trained at something called Bible School, there's something we call homiletics. They call it what? Homiletics.
Homiletics, okay.
Is the art of preparing a sermon. So there are principles that guides you in how to structure your sermon.
Okay, so the sermon must come in a structure.
Perfect.
And that's okay.
So if you know any typical Assemblies of God pastor, there's a way we preach, our sermon structure. So your heading, your introduction, your points, your sub-points, your conclusion. So as I did that, I was learning. So one day, Reverend Amponsa gives me his pulpit. He had been transferred to Kumasi. When I preached, when we came back home, the wife, who was also a trained pastor, said, Steve, who taught you homiletics? You've not been to Bible school. I said, I learned it in this house. I said, all this while I've been recopying Papa's sermons. That's how I learned how to prepare a sermon.
Wow.
So I always say that leaders and pastors, get people around you and work with them. Reverend Ponsa shared a lot about his life with me, which helped shape my calling. He shared how he received sermons. He told me. Reverend Ponsa shared with me how every pastor, you must be sensitive. For that, to him, there's a period you must stay at a particular pastorate, and that at all his stations, when the time was up, he knew, and he prayed, and God relocated him. And he gave an example that in Tema Committee 4, when the time was up to leave, he said he saw that he was having challenges. One of the signs to know that your tenure has ended at a local assembly, when suddenly people are fed up with you, things that they wouldn't complain about, so they start complaining about. He told me, when it gets to that point, start praying for God to redirect you. God may have a different purpose for you. So that extent to which this man really poured himself into me.
That is fantastic. Keep praying, God will redirect you. Let us take a short commercial break here. When we come back, let's see how God will redirect the next part of the interview. Stick around, folks. We'll be right back.
The KSM Show.
Cactus Creek. It is no longer Ghana's best kept secret. It's an open secret. So serene, so heavenly. And the meals? Just like home cooking. Cactus Creek. Your soul will thank you. Call or WhatsApp 055-039-5007.
Let me tell you something. When you take your stuff to the laundry, some of the complaints you get is a missing button, some stain on the thing, all sorts of things. But with Cabell, you can bet you're going to get a quality job done. Send your stuff to Cabell. If you want to reach them on their hotline, the number is 050-139-4546. So call Cabell. Dry cleaning service is always clean and
Azepa Essentials has good news for you. If you're in Takoradi and its environs, don't worry. You can pick up Azepa Essentials jackets at Ruler Unisex Boutique in Anaji, Takoradi, Queen of Peace in Takofo Road. Call or WhatsApp 0544 548766.
Paul's Fitness Center, the premier destination. Meet the indefatigable captain.
There are 3 things that I love doing. Number 1, workout. Number 2, workout. Number 3, workout. Workout put mind, soul, and body together.
The captain has spoken.
We're getting busy. Bright lights, yeah, they make me dizzy. Logo Liggy. I just want the Lizzie. It's a Logo Liggy. Uptown, chasing for the Lizzie. Downtown, everybody busy. Logo Liggy. Like me, Logo Liggy. I just want the
Paul's Fitness Center, East Legon Branch, Lizzie Sports Complex, Cotton Street, East Legon, Accra, Ghana, 0302 519-675. Kumasi branches, Officers Mess Branch, Denyame, Major Kobina Drive, Kumasi, 0541-871-602. Golden Tulip, Kumasi City Branch, Rain Tree Street, 0322-492-647. Pulse, the premier destination for fitness in Ghana.
Say what lie we for around town.
The KSM Show.
We're back. And I promised you when we're taking the commercial break, when we come back, we'll see which direction God will take us. So honestly, me, I don't know. Anything that happens, you can assume that. Anyway, so he was talking about certain things that you see signals to tell you it's time to move on.
Yes. Yes. So as I mentioned, like he says that when you realize that you've had a very fruitful ministry at the station, peaceful relationship with the people, and then suddenly the people are no longer appreciating the way they used to. All too soon, they're becoming petty, picking on things that your little mistakes. And then you begin to feel uneasiness. He says, it's possible your tenure at that pastorate, it's okay. Start praying for new direction. That's one important thing he actually taught me. And he taught me humility. He was extremely down to earth and humble. Again, he was Assistant General Superintendent for 16 years. And he told me that the 16th year, he knew his time was up. He didn't wait to be voted out.
Oh, so he just...
They went for council meeting, and then he just announced that he thinks he has finished his tenure. Others should continue. And he was given the longest standing ovation in our history. So I learned a lot from him. He always told me that a man of God must be blameless. Your character, very, very, very important. He taught me the fear of God. Yes. One time, I was on vacation with him. He said he was praying. He told God to reveal himself physically to him.
God should reveal himself
physically to him. He wanted to see God. So we're in the house, and we heard, it was in his bedroom. He was banging the door. He rushed out and said, hey, no, it's okay, it's okay. So we were scared. He said, having prayed that prayer, a strange light entered the room. He saw a figure behind, is it in the light or something? He couldn't just look at that figure. And that's Reverend Amponsa for you.
Wow.
I mean, he was a genuine and a sincere man of God.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. The prayer was that God should reveal.
Yes, like Moses in Exodus 33, who said, Lord, show me your glory, show me your face. And God said, no man can see my face. I only show you my back. And even that, Moses, God had to put him in the cleft of the rock and cover him. Even that, he couldn't stand it. So I guess Reverend Amponsa, from that experience Moses had, he wanted to have a similar encounter with God. Yeah.
And he says he did.
Yes.
He saw something.
And I believe him. And look, he was panting. I mean, I don't know what word to use to describe the state in which he was. He said what he saw, he can't explain it. Yeah.
In your personal trajectory of this pastoral, have you ever had an encounter like that? Something like?
Physical encounter like that, no, but I've had life experiences that has made me know that God is with me. Even this election, everybody who followed it and who knew what happened before, during. I'm quoting Archbishop Ajenasari. We paid a courtesy call on him. In the presence of my colleague, he said, nobody can convince him that the election of Reverend Stephen Wengam as General Superintendent is not of God. So you may not have to have the same encounter, but this is one of the several encounters I've had in life that made me know that God is with me. I may not have to want to see him physically. God is with us 24/7. And all of us, if we will be God conscious, you will realize that as you go through life, there are things that happen in your life that should be enough to tell you that God is with you. Because others went through the same, and the end was different. Yeah.
Well, the others, that the end was different. Is it safe for them to assume that God was not with them?
If God is not with us, we will not be here. Because the opener, Satan. If God is not here, he will finish all of us. But then daily, we have different encounters with God. And that's what I'm talking about. Sometimes you see some unique, some uncommon things that happen in your life that makes you know that this one, God was with me. If not, the story should have been different.
No, I understand what you're saying, but I'm also listening to you about your life, the role of your mother, your father, being that symbol, meeting Reverend Amposa, taking after him. Everything points out to me that you had started a certain trajectory in your life that was leading somewhere. And for me, being elected superintendent, general superintendent, is quite a logical part of that transition. Rather than it was, oh, God, because of God, that's why I got here. I guess what I'm saying is that you had a big role to play as well.
Oh, yeah.
How do you strike the balance?
That's right. I mean, the Apostle Paul in 1 Corinthians 15 says that by the grace of God, I am what I am. Yet in another scripture, he says, I work harder than all the apostles. God's grace is frustrated when we are idle.
The grace is frustrated.
The grace is more effective when you play your role. So there's a common saying I say in the pulpit, my members is very common with I say, God will not do by miracle what you must do by common sense, by simple obedience, and by responsibility. So yes, I attribute my elevation exclusively to the grace of God. But then, God's grace doesn't work in a vacuum.
You've been active.
Yes, you have to cooperate with God. You have to obey His word. You have to yield. Another example is one day, I remember I was then director of administration at our headquarters, Assemblies of God. Then I received a call from the then castle, seat of government. Is that Reverend Stephen Wengam? I said, yes. Then Madam Valerie, is it Saki? Who was then, I think, Deputy Chief of Staff during President Mills' time. I said, yes. He said, I need your CV. The president is appointing you to become a member of the 5th Prisons Council. I said, Madam, excuse me, I think this is a wrong call.
Really?
No, because at the time, I didn't have any relation with President Mills. I'm not a party person. So I was wondering, who could recommend me?
Wow.
Then she said, no, please, I'm under instruction.
For you to send the CV?
Send your CV. I rushed to the office, my then boss, the then general superintendent, the late Reverend William Donto. I told him. He began to laugh. He said, go and serve your country. Because I thought as maybe leaders can have insecurity. But he said, go and serve your country. And incidentally with him was the pastor of the then vice president, John Mahama. I was serving as an unofficial associate pastor in that church.
Okay.
And even at the time, I didn't have a very close relation with President Mahama. I was then MP before, just hi, yes. So then I began to add 1 + 1. Later on, I got to know that, he threw my name in there. And KSM, to be frank with you, at that time, 2009, if I look at my life, my experiences, my CV wasn't anything rich and extraordinary. I saw it as the act of God. Then I served on the 5th Prisons Council. As an ordinary member, I played my humble role. One day, there was an event at the then Flagstaff House, now Jubilee House. The then president had invited men of God to come and prayer. When we finished and were leaving, and I went with President Mahama's pastor. So I went on his ticket. So one of the presidential staffers said, Reverend AJ, President want to see you and Pastor Wengam. Okay. We went in there. He said, well, I've been thinking of appointing a chairman for the Prisons Council. And I'm quoting him. I see the prisons as a mission field.
As a mission field?
Mission field. Because Jesus spoke about it. So I thought that if I put somebody who is religious, a pastor there, will make greater impact. So I'm appointing you. So wow. I look at his pastor's face. I didn't see it coming. KSM. No, and if you look at the history, before at the early stage of 1992 Constitution, the vice president was serving as the chairman of the Prisons Council. And then, just before me, President Kufuor had appointed a professor. The EcoBank MD was Prison Council chair. So if I look at the tall list of people, I was the most insignificant, if not inexperienced in terms of public life. And he insisted, he said, no, you can do it. And Ghanaians will tell when I serve as chairman of Prisons Council, leading to that. And you interviewed me on this show.
Yes, I interviewed you on the show.
To promote when we launched a
the
10-year strategic plan.
Yes.
Project Efiase, yes, to transform our prisons into centers of excellence. And Ghanaians know the records are there. We got 88 vehicles for Ghana Prison Service, unprecedented. The highest they had gotten was 8. And then I was able to get a sitting president for the first time ever to visit a prison facility. So President Mahama, and I got the Chief Justice and the Minister of Finance, the first time ever, the three of them.
To visit.
That visit made government release 50 million cedis for us to construct our first remand prison facility.
Wow.
And then also leading to that, other things. We were able to, I paid courtesy call on 23 ambassadors to talk about Ghana Prison Service. Leading to that, Australia, the US government, and another government granted scholarships to prison officers to the US to go and do courses. And then they gave us some logistics and others. So again, if I look at this, it could be God. Because I was a normal Ghanaian, minding my no rank, as I mentioned. And then suddenly, so who mentioned my name in the corridors of power? It's God. And that was another sign to me that God is with me. That's how you know God being with you at different times.
Wow. Show some love, man. Fantastic. And I hate to bring this up because it sounds like the only negative thing coming out of a very good discussion, because I remember somewhere, as chairman of the prison service, there were some rumors. And I'm sorry I'm bringing this up, but once you brought it up, I said, let me throw it back here. There were some rumors about some land that you...
Yeah.
Just a few minutes to clarify.
KSM, I now know why good people don't want to serve this country. Why decent-minded people? Because public service is rough. When you go in there with a good heart, your pay, as Prince Council chairman, my allowance was 500 cedis. It was even the latter part. And my 1 year allowance, I bought musical equipment for the prisons band because they didn't even have equipment. And my thank you, I served prison service was some, I don't want to go. Some people, they didn't have their way. And then they went into the media. President Kufuor's era, they had initiated PPP, Public-Private Partnership. The lands at Roman Ridge have been encroached upon. So he said, let's get a business entrepreneur, let's swap, get a land, build facilities, almost at the same cost. So I inherited the entrepreneur. And the man bought a good plan. I don't know what happened. Some prison officers went to the media and they said I was selling their lands. And up to now, then I should have a house at Roman Ridge. I don't have a house there. But it was part of it. Then one politician, he went on his radio station and castigated me.
Yeah, ran you down like there was no tomorrow.
Ran me down.
Yeah.
But I kept initially I wanted to take legal action. The lawyer, my lawyer in the church, the board advised me that, Pastor, they didn't know how to preach to me. That they did it to your boss, Jesus. So just keep cool. I took it in good faith, and I'm glad I did. And up to now, all those wild allegations, no proof. And knowing this country, if I'd committed any crime, oh, you know how I would be by now. But I'm walking free.
Not only are you walking free, you're actually growing in grace. Show some love. Wow. So finally, you're General Superintendent, Assemblies of God Ghana. And you're a small feat per se. It's really, really heavy duty. And I also know that you have always have the leadership thing really is something that you really think about. It's very, very important to you, the whole issue of leadership. Yeah. So now that you are general superintendent, what thing do you hope to bring to the...
KSM, thank you very much. Assemblies of God, as you rightly said, is a huge organization. Currently, we are the largest and the leading Pentecostal church in the whole world, with 70 million members, 90 million members in Africa, and in Ghana, we have close to 690,000 members.
70 million members.
70. It's verifiable.
And in Ghana, how many?
690,000 members.
Wow.
A little over 6,000 churches. I superintend over 3,800 pastors. We have 350 schools in Ghana. We are the first Pentecostal church to emerge from the north. We started from Yendi, 1931. The first Pentecostal church to establish Bible school, to use formal training to prepare our pastors. We are the first Pentecostal church to use social action programs to evangelize. So we have 2 hospitals, one at Saboba, that started in the early 1950s, another in Nakpanduri. So our developmental projects are located in rural Ghana, where the people need it most. Now, my vision is founded on Micah 4:1 and 2. That says, in the last days, the mountain of the Lord's temple shall be the highest of the mountain. It shall be exalted above the hills, and people will stream to it. Many nations will say, come, let us go to the house of the Lord. The import of the scripture, KSM, is that the end-time church must be prominent, influential, it must model leadership, it must be impactful. So my vision is to let Assemblies of God reflect the characteristics of Micah 4:1 and 2. So the vision is Christian, the transformation agenda. The thematic areas are 6: reach, rebuild, restore, reform, reposition, and rebrand.
So this is your transformation agenda for...
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, in summary. Now, the reach, if you know the church, our Great Commission is to go and win souls. We want to make sure that every village, every town in Ghana, there must be a church. Everybody's entitled to the gospel. Then we're engaging all relevant stakeholders in the country and beyond. We can't do it alone. We need to partner with the public sector, private sector, to make meaningful impact. So if you've been following the news, we've been paying courtesy calls on all matter. Then under Restore, we are a product of the Azusa Street Revival, one of the biggest revival that broke out in the world. So we are going back to our roots to seek God for the early church revival, that authentic Christianity. Then we are also looking at reform, administrative reforms and restructuring. It's important. We must be relevant. Then we are also looking at repositioning. Joshua 3:7 says, God told Joshua, I will exalt you in the eyes of all. We want to reposition our church. You cannot make impact when they don't admire you, when they don't see the impact you are making. We want to reposition the church as an agency of God. Then finally, rebrand. We are a typical conservative Pentecostal church, but the times have changed. And the way we used to do church, we cannot reach the middle class and the youth. These 2 classes of people, their taste is different. They see things differently. So we want to repackage our church so that we can effectively impact them, reach them, and draw them into our fold. And the rebuild, because our churches are 80% in rural Ghana, it impacts the welfare of our pastors. We're going to set up a special fund to mitigate the suffering of our pastors and members in the rural Ghana. We're also going to invest heavily in human capital development, training, retraining, building capacity. Because the way we did ministry in 1972 has changed. You can't go to do ministry that way. And then we're also going to build the Assemblies of God Centenary Village. It will be 100 years in 8 years' time. And the monumental legacy which I want to leave with the organization is to build a Centenary Village. Currently, when we don't have a facility that when we have an event for, let's say, 10,000, we can't accommodate them. We keep paying money, throwing money to some public event centers, and it's impacting us. So we intend to build an international convention center to take care of that day and to serve the body of Christ and our dear country, Ghana. We're going to revive the Assemblies of God Professional Network, and then also we are privileged. A lot of our members are in public service. Again, we pride ourselves in that. The first Pentecostal church in Ghana and the whole Assemblies of God worldwide to produce our member to become president.
Wow.
And Malawi took inspiration from us. So currently, the Malawian president is a former general superintendent of Assemblies of God.
Really?
Dr. Lazarus Chakwera. At the point in time, the former Chief Justice, our member, the current majority leader, a lot of our members are in public service. We want to have a Christian political incubator where we are going to nurture Christian politicians and our members who are in public service. We must be intentional. We must set an agenda for them. They must go and make a difference. It's important because if the difference is made, we will not be where we are. So we want to make sure that our members who are in politics, in the public service, are also, they have a certain spiritual backing. We are political. Assemblies of God doesn't support any political party. Our members are in NDC, MPP, CPP. We as a church will provide all of them with the needed spiritual support so that they can make an impact in the development of this country.
Wow. Amen. Wow. Well, Reverend, that's really, 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 really great. But on a brighter note, we have really had a wonderful time. You know, congratulations for...
You spoke about my induction service.
Yes, your induction service.
I'm inviting you, KSM. You can't turn down this invitation. I know you have to be there, 25th of February
yes.
At the Grand Arena of the Accra International Conference Center.
Wow.
I'm inviting all Ghanaians, all our pastors and members.
And Revo, I like what, should I call that, the pre-induction program. Okay. You know, before the big day, the 25th, you have a speaking series, seminars. Tell me a little bit about that and who is speaking in.
Yeah. KSM, those who know me, they know that I want to expend my energy and resources in developing leaders. So for the first time, we have a pre-induction event. And this is the maiden edition of the annual Transformational Leaders Conference. That'll be Thursday, 23rd of February, and Friday, 24th February, 8:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Cedar Mountain Chapel, East Legon Assemblies of God. The speakers are Reverend Dominic Yo, is the General Secretary of the World Fellowship Assemblies of God, General Superintendent of Singapore Assemblies of God Church, and pastors a 10,000 member church.
10,000?
Yes. Then Reverend Barnabas Ntokambali is the General Superintendent of Tanzania Assemblies of God Church and the President of Africa Alliance Assemblies of God. Then Reverend Greg T. Johnson is the founder and the president of Global Leadership Training USA. He's also speaking on the trust of leadership. Then Archbishop Charles Ajanasari, our own, will speak on the role of the supernatural and prayer in church growth. Then our former Chief Justice, Georgina Tudora Wood, her ladyship retired, will speak on how to use alternative dispute resolution to resolve conflicts in the church, right here at Cedar Mountain Chapel. And then the Saturday is the big day, the induction service of the General Superintendent and the outdooring of the Executive Presbytery officers at the Grand Arena of the Accra International Conference Center at 9 a.m. You don't need any special invite to be there. Our members and pastors, the public is invited.
Fantastic, fantastic.
Next week.
Okay. Oh, just okay, folks, so you've had it all. So you're expecting to see everybody, and especially the induction service. I'll be there. I promise I've said it before the whole Ghana. Your witnesses are all there. Okay, so you said you go, so.
In my speech, I will mention your name.
Oh, really?
I say, acknowledge KSM. KSM, can you give me a wave?
Pressure. Pressure. No. I'll be there. It will be an honor for me to see you getting inducted, because I've followed you quite a bit, and I'm truly happy to see that you've gone this far and the journey still continues. And if you will, Revo, a little bit about this. I was trying to take a little tour, and I saw it's quite a facility, man. You have an infirmary. Just tell me a little bit about the compound here.
Right. Well, at Cedar Mountain Chapel, our slogan, we believe God for hard things. And we believe that God deserves the best of the best. The streets in heaven are made of gold. Solomon built a beautiful temple for God. Now, this building is unique because, one, it is mother and child friendly, disability friendly. We have an infirmary here. The Cedar Medical Outreach Team, made up of close to 70 doctors, medical team in the church, who use their expertise to serve the community, the members, and villages. So there's a doctor and a nurse on duty every church service. Any member who is not well goes in there. They will treat you free, give you free medicine. Every year, we do same for all the members.
Wow.
Free. And then the community, the squatters in the community, every year, we organize free medical screening and treatment for them. Then we also have baby changing station at the washrooms for nursing mothers. Then we have a ramp for those who are able differently. And in our toilet facility, we have special toilet facility for those who are abled differently. So anybody's welcome on a tour. Wow. I will leave the description for you. But many have passed compliments and voted this facility as probably one of the, if not the best, one of the very best in the country.
Yeah.
And then we have a place for nursing mothers. It's soundproof, and we have strollers there for babies. And then we give them free diapers over there, and the mothers are happy.
It's fantastic.
It's also soundproof, so we have no problem with our neighbors. Soundproof, every noise made is contained. Yeah. So, because the church must be sensitive to your neighbors. You don't become a nuisance, then how do you win them?
How do you win them? Yeah. When they think that every night you are disturbing them.
That's right.
Fantastic. Folks, thank you very much for joining us today. And you've heard it all. But if you want to do anything better than hearing it all, maybe you should join this church and then experience him, and then you will understand. Until then, what can I say? I have to stand up from this beautiful edifice. This is the first chapel.
Cedar First Chapel of Cedar Mountain Chapel Assembly of God, East Legon.
Okay. So I'm standing up from the Cedar First Chapel.
That's right.
Until next week, what can I say? We are out of, let the whole world say, yeah.